I want everything the tribal chief has. That was the words of the new challenger to Roman Reigns. We'll find out who that was very, very shortly as we go through the Monday Night Raw review on the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast with the only man that's ever here, the front man, Mr. Adam Cousins, Esquire. It's me. Look, Raw is in the books. Raw after WrestleMania, very eventful to say the very least. We got some new challengers to champions, new stars were born, and new arrivals to the red brand, and perhaps a very big departure as well. Let's just get into it. We're not going to go in order for a change. We're just going to talk all things Raw this week. And one of the things, funnily enough, that come up on Raw, there was actually a video package for Brock Lesnar. Obviously, loads of you that watch WrestleMania will know Brock lost to Obafemi. Brock took his gloves off. Brock took his boots off, put him in the middle of the ring, very emotional, walked out of that WrestleMania, and seemingly has retired. And they played a very nice video package on Raw this week to kind of solidify that. I mean, I was sitting here just yesterday doing the WrestleMania Night 2 review saying I still think Gunther might have a thing to say, he might have a favor to call in. I might think that favor now is slightly different. I thought he was going to call in a favor and get Paul Heyman to bring back the Beast. He still might do that, of course. Um, but it was a very nice video of Brock's retirement. And then later on in the show, Paul Heyman was out with the Vision with Austin Theory and Logan Paul, and basically said that Brock Lesnar needs to be moved to the forever column of the then now forever video package that they do in the WWE when the shows start. So still very much up in the air regarding Brock Lesnar. No official word, I may add, about Brock yet. Paul Heyman is very irate if you see the promo that he done. And in fact, Obafemi started Raw. And if you go back to when Roman beat The Undertaker, he had like 10 minutes of booze before he went, "This is my yard now." Well, Obafemi is a complete reversal. So he gets people chanting Oba at him pretty much before he says the ruler has arrived before dropping the microphone. Now, that's a real stark contrast to the Roman Reigns one with The Undertaker, but it does show you just how over Femi already is. And it looks like Raw is going to be the official home of the ruler, which is very, very interesting. Lots of combustible elements, shall we say, on Raw right now. Obafemi being one of them. What is in his future? We don't know yet because he wasn't the person that challenged Roman Reigns for Backlash in just a few short weeks. In fact, very, very, I think 3 weeks to be exact until we get to Backlash. But Obafemi is a megastar. There is no doubt about that. And the promo was great, by the way. Kept it simple, absolutely few words, bang, Mike goes, he goes off, and we've got an absolute megastar on our hands on the red brand. That is for certain. Someone leaving the red brand, however, Rhea Ripley. Her and Io Sky did have a match against the Kabuki Warriors, which they win with the over the moonsault. Later on in the show, Rhea Ripley's walking backstage, bumps in to the new Raw Women's Champion, Liv Morgan, and basically Liv was like, "See you, I guess I see you around." To which she said, "I guess you will." Rhea Ripley obviously heading off to the Blue Brand. So this is kind of a draft without a draft, in my opinion, what they're doing right now. It's actually I feel as if it's better this way. I don't get me wrong. I used to love the drafts. I used to thought they were great. They never adhered to them anyway. But it was always a decent program to watch because you did just never know who was going where unless you kind of read some of the spoilers that are online. So I used to like it, but I'm liking this better now. Obviously, Rhea has to go to SmackDown. She is a SmackDown Women's Champion. She gets to reunite, of course, with Damian Priest, which will be good. R-Truth, I suppose the new Judgment Day, for want of a better phrase, is on SmackDown. Then the tag match itself, really solid opener, solid start in ring to Raw. Would like to see Kairi Sane get some victories. I think she's always the one losing yeah, maybe her and Asuka are going to end up having a split, and that's where we'll get to maybe a backlash, for example. Who knows? Um, but there just wasn't any way Ripley and Sky were losing this this match at all, really, and they certainly didn't. And like I said, Rhea rides off into the sunset, so to speak, and off to the blue brand. So that was a loss to Raw, but again for SmackDown. Another one that maybe, just maybe, heading off to the blue brand is CM Punk. Now he come out actually come out on Raw this week. The music wasn't even playing, which was kind of weird. Obviously talking about his loss to Roman Reigns. You know, he's kind of saying that he still hates Roman, but he respects him. Punk thanks the fans and the usual, I would say loser speech, but I didn't. But he still says he's the best in the world. He definitely said that. He said he was the best in the world. And and you never know when a title shot is gonna fall out of the air. As he goes to leave, the music of the SmackDown Heavyweight Champion Cody Rhodes hits. And Cody was like, "You're probably wondering why I'm out here." And Punk was like, "Am I late? Did I miss my cue? Like, I was I've run over?" He's like, "No, no, no." And even Cody was like, "I don't wasn't expecting what I got." And Punk was like, "You was expecting me to crash out?" Cody was like, "Yeah, I was. I was expecting you to crash out." And checking on Cody's eye as well, which looks bloody awful. By the way, Cody Rhodes' eye is very, very black right now. And, anyway, the ending of this segment, Punk's looking down at the World Heavyweight Championship saying, "You never know when a championship opportunity is going to fall out of the tree." And with that, he dropped the mic and left. But as he was leaving, Cody gets on the mic and says, "Just tell me when." Now, again, Backlash is 3 weeks away. I would have thought Randy Orton would have wanted the shot. And to be honest, like, I don't think I want to see Cody and Punk until at least SummerSlam. That's where I feel we'll get the yardage. I think Orton probably should get a rematch in this and certainly should, or at least go for the rematch. Maybe they do triple threat. Who knows? But then Orton will eat the pin again. I'm not sure I want to see that. But Punk and Cody, again, the story there writes itself, much like the story between Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes, which they ended up buggering up by adding fucking Jelly Belly, Jelly Roll, and Pat McAfee in there. But Cody and Punk is another story there. It goes through different companies. It's very, very interesting to have it. But I feel Backlash is too early to have that feud and would like to at least get to SummerSlam before we see that particular encounter. You tell me, when do you want to see Cody and Punk? Do you want to see it at Backlash, or would you like to see it further down the line? Maybe getting too much big matches too soon. No, that's not a hit when I say that. I like them to be spread out a little bit. But I feel as if the yardage in this is having Punk and Cody at least at SummerSlam and give it a little bit more time to settle. Cody wins at Backlash, and then we go to Saturday night's main event in July. we can start the build really after Backlash, maybe to SummerSlam. Who knows? That's my view. We'll find out. Of course, maybe we'll find out a bit more on SmackDown this week. Obviously, the other thing to this is Cody Rhodes' injury. Is he going to have to relinquish still that championship? I mean, he come out on Raw, no signs on Raw that he was going to have to relinquish his championship, but you never know with this. It can all change. You could get some results today that could throw everything and maybe having to pivot, or maybe they were just planting a seed for later on in the year. Who knows? But great promo and it's teasing a match between Punk and Cody. Right, off to the first call up of NXT, and it's a good one because we are now Monday Night Raw has gone all ego. Ethan Page is up former North American champion in NXT. He comes up with a big win as well against Javon Evans, which that's no mean feat with Javon really riding high from a great WrestleMania, unsuccessful, of course, in his tag match, in the ladder match. Sorry, but Ethan Page is an interesting one. I'm looking forward. To be honest, the match itself wasn't exactly brilliant. I think it was one. No disrespect to Ethan, but this is probably one of Javon's worst matches that he's had. But that could be due to he was in that ladder match, body is battered, and you're coming off the back of a really busy few days. So I hope maybe we see this match again later down the line, maybe as early as next week. Just give the body a chance to recover. Twisted Grin, obviously for Ethan Page, but that's a big, that is a big call up and that's a big get. Is Ricky Saints going to go to maybe SmackDown? Is that going to be one that we're going to see this week on SmackDown? Obviously, Sean Spears is another one. We obviously, yeah, Tony, whatever, I can't remember his last name. The NXT champion, Tony D'Angelo. I don't think we'll call him up because obviously he is NXT champion. We'll get to a big women's call up in a minute, one that's been on the cards, to be honest, for a while. But Ethan Page, I'm really looking forward to this. Rusev attacked Javon Evans after this. Penta come down to make the save. But again, they were attacked by Rusev and Ethan Page. So perhaps we're going to get that tag match maybe next week. Um, but I am looking forward to that. And to Ethan Page on Raw. There's lots of talk about, Tony Khan fumbled. I don't think that people or promoters fumble with wrestlers. I really, really don't. It just sometimes is a natural fit somewhere else. And if you look at Ricky Saints or Starks, whatever you want to call him, he's an entertainer. He's a great wrestler, don't get me wrong. But predominantly his character is an entertainment-based character. Will Ospreay's a very much a wrestler and he's not an entertainer. He entertains you with his wrestling. He doesn't entertain you maybe on the microphone. He's very straightforward. He's very sort of, maybe, I wouldn't say mundane, but very straightforward. Whereas Ethan Page, Ricky Saints are very much a character-based wrestlers, entertainers. And this is World Wrestling Entertainment, of course. So I think that Ethan Page is better suited to the WWE. I think Ricky Saints may be better suited to the WWE. Obviously, Jay Cargill's come in, done some great work. Sean Spears is a weird one. I don't know with Sean. I mean, he was WWE. He went to AEW and then come back a lot like Rusev. So I'm not quite sure on him. But Ethan Page and Ricky Saints, I think, are tailor-made for WWE. And this call up for Ethan Page, assuming they've got stuff for him to do, of course, which is my biggest bugbear. Um, I think we'll do well in the WWE. I don't see him in the main event picture, but obviously we've got an Intercontinental Championship. Same with Ricky Saints. We've got the IC Championship and and whatnot, and the US Championship. Sorry, as well. So we'll see. I mean, Ricky Saints isn't called up yet, but I'm just using that as an analogy, ready for not even analogies as an example. As to where I think these guys can end up, Ricky Saints on the blue brand would work, I think, perfectly. But we will see. But congratulations to Ethan Page as Raw goes all ego, which is great. Now, the straight in to the women's call up from NXT, and it was one that's been on the cards for a while, and this one is an absolute megastar in the making, and that is Sol Ruka. She cuts off Liv Morgan, actually, and that got into a match straight away on this. And interestingly enough, Sol Ruka was attacked at the end of this. Liv Morgan wins, but she was attacked by Zarya, who has obviously been a thorn in Saruka's side in NXT, used to be together, had that big falling out, and still it looks like there's still a bit of unfinished business. So I don't know whether Zari is going to be on Raw, if there's going to be a follow up on NXT, because sometimes, although they're called up, they take a little bit of time, they finish what they're doing elsewhere. But Sol Ruka on Raw is going to be brilliant. The match itself, by the way, was decent, and I thought for a minute we were going to do an AJ Lee Page and have a title switch really quickly. If you remember when Page debuted, it was the Raw after WrestleMania. She convinced AJ Lee to put the Women's Championship on the line, or the Divas Championship as it was then. Page picked up the victory. Well, didn't quite happen like that, but I thought for a minute that's where we were going, but it turns out not to. But Liv Morgan, fantastic, and I'm looking. The interesting thing was is Paige was in the crowd, and I'm just like, come on, let's go. Let's let's see a bit more of Paige. I'm looking forward to Paige being back as well. But Sol Ruka, absolute megastar. Now here comes an interesting comeback, and they've been missing for quite some time, and they've done some events. Obviously, we heard the great news that one of them is going to become a father, Montez Ford, because I'm talking about the Street Profits. This was after the Vision were cutting a promo, Logan Paul blaming our show's speed. He did, but Paul Heyman did thank Gunther on this for taking care of the problem. That was the Seth Rollins problem. However, he didn't quite take care of it. Seth Rollins comes back, he hits Braun with busts Braun open, by the way, of a chair, and then hits him with a similar kind of super kick that we saw in the Santana Macklin match recently that got called off. It was as stiff as that, and I was getting worried straight away that Braun was going to be injured again. But as the 3-1 advantage was for the Vision, out come the Street Profits. Now they're on Raw again. I think they were on SmackDown last time, so maybe a change there for the Street Profits. And Breaker did hit a super spear on Rollins again, by the way, as the Profits were facing. But I'm interested. I mean, I don't know if the Profits are aligned with Seth or whether they're just with this is just a whole, plan just to get them on television again. Seth and the Profits, pretty. I would have liked that to have been a heel group. Really, the Profits just haven't been heel, and I think they tried it, and they were looking at it maybe with the Hurt Business and Lashley and MVP. I just think, see, if Seth had a vision, and the vision was with the Street Profits, that may have worked. I don't know. What do you guys think? Tell us. Does the Seth, do they aligned with Seth? What's gone on here? But maybe they want the tag titles again. Is that a thing? I don't know. I just think Seth and the Profits would have been great, but as a heel group. It's an interesting one. Listen, guys, tell us what you think about it. What do you think about the Street Profits coming back on Raw, and where would they have been better? Well, should they align with Seth full time, or is this just a tag title kind of run that they're looking for? You tell us. That's really. Um, we saw the continuation really of Dominic Mysterio, Finn Balor on Raw. Finn Balor did beat JD McDonough. The beatdown again continued with Dom, but Finn Balor got the upper hand again, went to do the double stomp. JD McDonough pulls him out of the ring. The problem with this is that you've already had a street fight at WrestleMania. Street fights normally end the feud. So to continue it, unless you're gonna do like a cage match or something, maybe something along a bit further down the line, it doesn't really make sense. And that was why I was a little bit another reason why I was a little bit surprised that we went to WrestleMania in the street fight. Because like I said, you kind of you kind of have these street fights and it's done, and the feud's done. And I actually thought it was done. I thought the feud was finished at that point. I really, really did, and they were going to move on to different things. Perhaps they are. Perhaps they are. Sorry. Perhaps we will see something on SmackDown in this week or next, where one of them, I think one of them, Dom, perhaps is a good. But then you've got to move Liv, and Liv's the champ. So Finn maybe. Hey, could Finn reunite with Dan? I know our Truth's there, but could Finn, Rhea, Damien, and Truth perhaps come together and be a part of a group. I don't know. Anyway, we'll find out. A shot of this coming Friday on SmackDown, and we'll wrap that up on this week in wrestling. But the final part of Raw was, of course, Roman Reigns, who, as he was coming out, asked the Usos to come with him. And he said he missed. He said, "Look, he missed this, and it's kind of Jey Uso was a little bit has Jimmy was very much in there, and he said like Reigns was like he misses this. He got him thinking. He says Reigns wants to do business. There needs to be a fist, and he isn't asking the Usos to serve him this time. He wants them to stand with him." And with that, Jimmy Uso says, "You know what? There'll always be the twos and we the ones." And he does it. Jay walks around the side, puts the ones in the air. And as Roman does it, he is interrupted by Jacob Fatu, his cousin, looking like he's going on the red brand from SmackDown as well. And perhaps LA Knight's going to go back to SmackDown, just as a side note. He wasn't on Raw this week. Um, but Jacob Fatu lays down the challenge. He wants the sneaker deal. He wants the private jets. He wants everything that the tribal chief has, including, well, he said he doesn't want the world championship. He needs the world championship. And Reigns was like, you know what? He was like, can you handle it? He went, because if you win, can you handle the pressure that comes with holding the gold? And then he says, but if you lose, can you handle the pressure of what the defeat will do for you? So he said, I'm not saying yes, I'm not saying no, but I will see you next week on Raw, which is really interesting. Jacob Fatu was the last person I was thinking that was going to challenge Roman Reigns first. I mean, we sat here at the WrestleMania, we were saying, is it going to be Obafemi? Could it be, I don't know who else it could have been. Could it have been Punk coming out wanting a rematch? Punk is not going to get the rematch by the looks of things. Punk's got his eyes set on Cody by the looks of things. I did not expect Jacob. Was it going to be Gunther? I mean, Gunther Roman Reigns. We haven't seen that. We haven't seen the Ring General. Is he going to be on SmackDown? Is that where he's going to call home this week? That's an interesting Gunther on SmackDown. That could be interesting. But anyway, look back to the world picture. I mean, were you guys surprised at Jacob Fatu? I mean, I'm all here for it. Backlash is only 3 weeks away. Jacob Fatu's not winning the world championship at Backlash. He absolutely isn't. There's no way, and that isn't disrespect to Jacob, but there's no way that Roman Reigns is losing his first defense of the World Heavyweight Championship after just winning it. Not a chance. Last time he had the championship, of course, it was over 1,000 days as champ. So he ain't losing that championship. But Jacob Fatu is certainly one of the most unexpected people I thought that was going to come out and challenge Roman for the belt. But look, guys, that was Raw, and it was very good. It was a great, I think they kind of freshened things up a bit. New faces, some good returns, and some interesting starts as we kind of start the year in WWE now. Because after WrestleMania, that's kind of the end of the year. This is Raw. This is the start of the year. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens on SmackDown this week. We'll wrap that up on This Week in Wrestling. I might, just might wrap it up Saturday morning, all being well. Maybe I'll do that and do a first ever SmackDown review, a bit like the Collision one I done last week. I hadn't done that in a while. SmackDown review may be back Saturday. What is coming back, however, TNA exclusive, which I'm filming, which I'm going to be recording in a few hours' time. Can't tell you who at the moment, but I will tell you tomorrow. Should be a great show. Looking forward to that. Shows dropping all week, guys. Follow us, HTT Buckle everywhere. Facebook followers, by the way, thank you. Doubled the amount of Facebook followers in WrestleMania weekend alone. Big thanks to you all for tuning in and coming on board on the Facebook. We appreciate you. Appreciate everyone that's putting. You can catch me on X now, the real Adam Cars. So the real ADAMCOUS. Catch me there as well. But you catch us every day dropping some more on hitting the turnbuckle. But until next time, everybody, buckle down, stay safe, and good.